Hello and welcome to Bloomberg Quint. Me and Agam are here to wrap the markets for you, and we're also being joined by Ravel from Bloomberg. Well, where did the Nifty end today? Well, it was just one direction that the Nifty moved in, and that was downward. So yesterday we lost about 60 points on the Nifty index. Today the Nifty was down about 30 to 40 basis, for 30 to 40 points. But in the last half an hour, like we saw some recovery. This has been a trend that we've been seeing in the last 2-3 days. At the last hour and a half, we managed to at least partially recover some of the losses. So we ended with about a loss of 20 points. So we've been talking about that 87, 86, 8700 range for the entire August series. That's unfortunately coming down to 8500, 8600 now. So market breadth not good either. That was on the negative side. Even if I talk about the week, the Nifty lost about close to 9500 points or a percent. What does next week look like? Well, a lot will depend on the commentary that comes in from the Janet Yellen's speech later today, and we also have Ravel who's going to talk more about that. So global markets also seem to be in a wait and watch mode. Europe is trading flat, so that's something that is going to drive the markets at least in the near term. So Ravel, what should we expect from the Fed and Janet Yellen?
Well, it's hard to say what you can really expect, but if you were to go by the odds, they were at the end of July, they were at 18%, and those have now more or less doubled to the possibility of US raising interest rates next month. And if you look at the odds for possible tightening in December, they're as high as 57%. And that's one reason why we have not, in the series that just ended yesterday, you've seen the Nifty and the Sensex maybe swing by 1% on just two occasions. In the run-up to to today's Yellen speech, because clearly nobody wants to take on risk when you have such a big event, going into such a big event. So clearly people are holding off from taking bets until a very clear guidance emerges from Yellen's speech today.
Even when it comes to the FI inflows into India, especially, we've seen some sort of a trend reversal. Last 2 days, Agam told me we've seen net outflows coming in as far as FIs are concerned. So, anything on the fund flows that you've really noticed, or anything that you want to say?
The outflows have been kind of marginal. I mean, you have to put this in context of the length of time that we've seen these inflows for. This would be the 6th month in a row. Just to put it in perspective, well, we've got 3 more days to go, but we've got about $1.2 billion already, for the month. That comes on top of $1.7 billion that we received in the month of July, and so on and so forth. So we've got about $6 billion, give or take, so far this year. What that means is that if there is, any hint of tightening that comes from today's speech, then we really, facing the prospects of these inflows either slowing down or even worse, starting to dwindle. So that's the concern. I mean, the latitude for any hiccup, given where the market is poised today, is very, very limited.
Correct. So this is something that we really need to keep an eye out for, and of course, this is an event which will impact not only India but a host of other emerging markets. So there's some sort of volatility coming in. We're in a small correction mode is what it looks like currently, and that's what we were also told about the September series yesterday on Surfs Up. What I want to understand is mid caps and small caps continue to trade at rich valuations. They're close to those indices are close to their all-time highs. Anything to be concerned about over there?
That is a concern because you don't even. I mean, one is this meeting today. This meeting is in the backdrop of valuations that are pretty much catastrophic as far as the mid and the small cap space of the market is concerned. I mean, if you look at the Sensex and the Nifty, they're trading at about 20 odd times, reported earnings. Compare that with 65 times for the small cap index and maybe some 35 times for the mid caps index. So that leaves you with very little room for an unpleasant or a negative surprise, given where we are poised right now, because this is a pretty large segment of the market.
Okay, so you need to be wary of the mid caps right now. Valuations do seem rich. Agam, what are you noticing on the F&O front?
Well, nothing unusual, and of course, as we've been seeing those, when it comes to open interest at least, we've been seeing the same levels, the activity in the same strike levels. So let's take a look at what's happening when it comes to the distribution in open interest. And once again, as far as maximum open interest goes, on the upside, while 9,000 does have some amount of the 9,000 call that is does have some amount of open interest. We're looking at the next level when it comes to OI is at 8,700. That's where we're looking at a lot of build up, and that's something that we've seen in the previous two sessions. Moving on, when it comes to puts, it is the 8,500 level which is firming up very, very well. So what's evident is that we have seen an increase towards the 8,400 and the 8,500 puts, and that's where we've seen most amount of activity hanging around too. Coming to the stability line, we have once again moved below the price stability line, the black line as indicated here. We're looking at two reds, so some amount of concerns are most certainly building in when it comes to the options market. And of course, as we know, options reflect the sentiment that we've seen. And we're going to have to be very and cautious about our next steps, at least for the bulls who are trading on who are betting on the upside.
Okay. I'm also going to talk about some of the Nifty movers, what really moved the Nifty or dragged the Nifty lower. Of course, what stands out is going to be IT. That continues to remain weak. So you had Wipro. That stock was the biggest loser on the Nifty index. In fact, it touches 52-week low today. So Wipro followed by HCL Technologies. You saw Infosys. So all of these IT names were clearly trading on the losing side. Remember, we have the UK GDP data also for the second quarter coming out later today. So probably we could be hearing the familiar Brexit term sometime again. So IT stocks bearing that brunt. PSU banks also were weak. So led by Bank of Baroda, you had SBI, also some names like IndusInd Bank, private sector banks seeing some corrections. Let me in fact even point out that smaller names like IDBI Bank, Syndicate Bank, Punjab National Bank, Bank of India, all of these were under pressure, and this is despite the RBI yesterday announcing those measures to boost the corporate bond market in India. You also had Tata Motors on the gaining side, up as much as 5%. Remember, 4%. Tata Motors DVR is up 5.5%. The numbers came out. Numbers were slightly seemed on the weaker side, but a lot of it has to do with the change in the accounting standards. They've reported Ind AS numbers, and that's the reason you saw some hit coming in as far as their Forex is concerned. Bharti Infratel, Asian Paints, Reliance Industries were some of the other gainers. So that's the broader Nifty index trend. But if you talk about mid caps, Agam, what are you noticing? Any trends or any stock that really stands out in mid caps?
Right, so we just heard Ravil talk about mid-caps and how, at least in some of these mid-caps, we've seen lofty valuations, and these have not come off for a very long time, in fact. So coming to how the mid-caps have been trading, well, they're moving more or less in line with the benchmarks, but when it comes to certain counters, they're continuing to hit 52-week highs. So some of them would include the likes of LIC Housing Finance, Voltas, KPR Mills, and some of these counters are actually hitting lifetime highs as well. Future Lifestyle is an interesting one now, and along with the rest of the Future Group stocks, which have taken traders' fancy, at least in the recent times. JB Chemicals, Trent, and Tata Communication, along with Tata Chemicals, are some of the very interesting counters in today's year of trade. But if you do want to look at the way some of the big movers have come about, we have 13% gains in Trident, and again, Future Lifestyle Fashions, another gaining as much as 11%. Group Finance, VSC Industries, JB Chemicals also making good gains today. And on the losing end, of course, you have Welspun India yet again losing yet another 9%. Declines in Shilpa Medicare, IDBI Bank, and JP Infratech. So again, as you can see, the mid-cap index itself has not lost too much, but varied movements when it comes to some of these stocks specifically.
This is also another trend that we're actually seeing. Not a trend, but very contrasting movements. So the top gainer is Trident and the top loser is Welspun India. Welspun India, of course, has been facing a lot of pressure on account of a lot of his clients. You have your JCPenney, Target, Walmart, even Bet and Bart today actually going ahead and reviewing its quality and supply chain processes. So big hit coming for Welspun India. Entire week the stock has actually seen losses. In fact, it is down, lost as much as 51% of its market cap in 5 days. So that's a big market erosion. But Welspun India's gain could just land up to be Trident's gain, because we actually had Trident clarifying and saying on BSE that Target Group could consider shifting Welspun's contract to Trident,
Trident.
and that's the reason we are seeing that a big or sharp up move as far as Trident is concerned. And just like you pointed out, real estate names were weak. So you have Kolte Patil. You also had names like Parshvanath, India Bulls Real Estate, HDI, all of this trading in red. NBFCs were having a good day. So Gru Finance, housing finance company especially, that was one of them. Cholamandalam Investments. So many of these names, Bajaj Finance, Muthoot Finance, Bharat Financials, all of these ended with good gains. So NBFCs, remember, are expected to be the key beneficiaries of the changes in the corporate bond market. So some good moves seen as far as that NBFC space is concerned, Agam. What to watch out for?
Yeah.
Well, globally, of course, you have your Janet Yellen's speech, which will impact in the near term. Domestically, not too much to watch out for. None of the bigger numbers that I'm aware of are coming. Whatever few 3-4 Nifty company numbers are left. But next week we also have India GDP numbers, so that's probably something that we should keep an eye out for. And also you should watch Poranju, who's going to join
Absolutely.
us
That's what I was coming.
in the
Yeah,
next
that's what I was
few
coming.
minutes. 4:10. That's where he joins us on. Thank God it's Friday. So hold on, and probably we shall get back to you at 4:10, and we can have all your queries being answered by Poranju.